I grew up in Flint, Michigan. I like it here. There are a lot of great people who are actually trying to help build the city up. There are more positive things going on here than just the water crisis.
And new developments in the Flint
We're also
water
learning
crisis.
the FBI is joining the investigation.
Mayor wants to see quick
2 years before the water crisis in Flint, Michigan made national headlines, a small number of Service Year Corps members were already at work trying to rebuild the city. At first, there were about 30, then 90. By the end of 2016, there were more than 200 people on the ground.
We like to say a disaster starts locally and ends locally. Those AmeriCorps, along with some of our experienced volunteers, were the first people that set up the pods and were distributing water and materials from those pods.
The only reason they were there at all was because 4 of the city's nonprofits had teamed up. By working together and coordinating their efforts, they were able to empower more Service Year Corps members.
Are you caring? I think you are.
The fact that we had almost 200 individuals already in the community, if that hadn't been the case, the mobilization would have been slower. We wouldn't have been as able to pivot people and respond as nimbly as we were able to do.
We're going outside? Yeah, we're going outside.
We're now switching from response mode to recovery mode.
What I want you to do is I want you to pick your own radish.
AmeriCorps members are in all of the Flint schools providing nutrition education.
Flint is considered a food desert. With the lead crisis, it puts our kids at a greater disadvantage, specifically because if you had more fruits and vegetables, it helps to deter lead from storing itself in your bones. Is it a little strong? The Flint water crisis had a huge effect on everybody that lives in Flint. It scared kids, it scared entire families.
Service Year Corps members are now deeply embedded in Flint schools and neighborhoods. They're tutoring, focusing on nutrition and physical education. It's a commitment to the local children's long-term needs.
One of the things that I like to work on, especially with the girls here, is self-esteem. We had a handout that says Flint kids are, and a blank. She wrote, Flint kids are cool, awesome, and fantastic.
You don't hear the story enough about the people in this community that really make the community a better place to live. The people that are working hard on a local level in their neighborhoods.
The green leafy vegetables and dairy products help combat lead, like yogurt.
The Flint model of nonprofits working together for a community's common good is drawing national attention. The efforts of these young people have caused Flint to now be known as a Service Year Impact Community.
Serving with the Flint Community School Corps has given me a chance to serve along people who I normally would not come into contact with. I have served with people from the Food Corps, boarding up houses with Urban Safety Corps, and it is very refreshing to see that you're not the only one who wants to make a difference.
Hello, and welcome to day 2 of the Flint Convening. We have a lot of content in store for you over the next few hours. Now that you've gotten to learn a little bit about what's happening in Flint and Stockton and other impact communities, today we're going to jump into the impact and potential for this work. We know the importance of setting up the right structure, the right communications between organizations, and a network of partners working together towards a shared goal. Impact communities have each other as a network to continue to refine how they work in their own cities, counties, and states. We hope you will take what you're learning and think about joining the Impact Community Network and supporting this work in your community. So how is Hop-In going for everyone? Are you learning how to navigate it? There are 2 things I didn't point out yesterday that I want to flag. First, we're using the polls functionality, but realized that this wasn't in a great place. So we moved it to the stage. So you should see it there now. You'll see polls on the right next to the chat function. And then we restarted yesterday's poll on how you're working together in your community. So go ahead, take it again, and we'll share the results in a few minutes. So the question you should see are you working collaboratively with other national service programs in your area? And put your response in there, and then we'll turn back to it in just a second. Second pointer on the upper right-hand corner, so up top there, you'll see a little arrow that's kind of pointed. I think it points kind of to the side that notes if you have a direct message from someone. So you can direct message others from the people list by clicking on their name and then being able to private chat them, or you can set up a time to talk later. So we'll have time later during the networking to connect one-on-one. And there's also a little bell icon that you can turn on private chats within Hopin. So lots of little features there to make Hopin work best for you. Have people had a chance to check out the Resource Expo yet? So we'll have the challenge. We have the challenge grant materials posted there, as well as lots of other resources, one that we're going to point out later today. All right, so now I want to walk through today's agenda quickly. So you should see that up on the screen. Awesome. So we have an awesome lineup today. So similarly to yesterday, we're going to use this main stage for most of our time together, and then spend the last part of the day in sessions hearing from more communities that are doing this work. In a moment, I'm going to pass things over to Kristen Bennett, who will share more on the principles for universal national service to bring the full vision of national service to life. Then we'll be joined by Anne-Maura Connolly from Voices for National Service to explain the recent research on the impact in Flint. And then Senator Coons has sent us a special message as well. Later, we'll hear more from Kyra Eskate at America's Service Commissions and have a great panel representing the state service commissions in Michigan, South Carolina, and Texas. Who do we have in the house today from Michigan, South Carolina, and Texas? Great to have those panelists. And then we'll take a break around 2:35 and come back together at 2:45 in sessions where we'll dive into some hot topics ripe for collaboration. So these are local and equity-focused recruitment, core member professional development and supports, alumni engagement, and career and education pathways. So come prepared to learn from places doing this work, and then share also what you're doing as well. So finally, at the end of the day, we're going to have some more time for networking in the networking tab. It looked like that was hopping yesterday, so go back and use the networking tab, kind of compare it to speed dating, but I guess speed networking. You can also direct message and video chat with people directly. So if you want to reach out and schedule some time right now, that's going to be from 4:10 to 4:30 that we have a little bit of time set aside for people to connect. We'll also have a Q&A session on the challenge grants. So really excited about the $100,000 that was released yesterday by the Mott Foundation that Service Year Alliance is going to be holding a grant competition this fall. And we'll do a Q&A session where we'll run through the application and answer any questions that you have. All right, let's go ahead and see the poll results from a few minutes ago. If we can just check on those poll results for me. Awesome. So it looks like we've got some votes coming in. So most participants today meet regularly with other programs to work on projects. So we've got about 76% that said that they meet regularly already. That's amazing. You guys have so much to build from. And then some are just getting started and talk to programs from time to time. So I think you'll see the really exciting research that Anne-Maura is going to introduce in a second that really shows the power of working together, that hopefully will make everybody's jobs a little bit easier when we know things are really tight right now. So let's go ahead and pass things off to Kristen. I know we had some activity yesterday in the chat function, but really encouraging that, we're not getting to be together. We're not getting to connect in person and build those relationships, but to use this time today to use the chat function to weigh in on things, put some comments in there, ask questions, and we will use the chat function throughout today. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Kristen.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brooke. So we spoke quite a bit yesterday about how the Flint National Service Accelerator and other impact communities have built their initiatives from nonprofit, local government, and higher education backbone organizations. Today, we're focused on the work taking place at the local and state level to ensure that the vision we all share of making a service year part of growing up in America, that it can become a reality. We truly believe, and you'll see by the work evidenced in sessions later today, that communities are at the core of bringing this vision to life. In order to truly make national service universal, we believe it needs to meet 5 principles. So we call these the principles for universal national service, or shorthand, there are UNS principles. You'll hear our team talk about them in every context of our work. You'll also see them reflected in the challenge grant applications. We'll probably talk about that at 4:10 today. We believe that our vision can't be reached until these 5 principles are true. So they are the driving force behind our work to make service both a common expectation and opportunity in our country. So as I walk through the principles, I hope you'll consider what it might look like for these to be achieved in your community. So here they are. First, national service should exist at scale. So we're working toward a future where 1 million young people are engaged in national service annually. That's approximately 1 in every 4 young people in America. Today, approximately only 70,000 people serve every year in full-time positions. To reach scale in the country, we'll need to see each community reach their appropriate scale and saturation. There are currently communities across the country where national service is extremely underrepresented or utilized. So as long as that exists, this principle has not been met. Second, national service must address the country's unmet needs. As communities look to tackle local problems, they should be able to turn to national service to address them. So whether that's fighting climate change, expanding broadband, supporting state and local governments, combating learning loss, or something else entirely, national service should be viewed as a critical tool and be utilized to meet evolving unmet needs within communities. So take a minute, consider the pandemic. When your communities were dealing with compounding needs, if your local leaders didn't say, how can we use national service right now to address what we're facing, or in the coming weeks or in the coming months, then this principle has not yet been met, if it isn't being viewed as a critical tool to address evolving needs. Our third principle, national service must bridge divides and fuel civic renewal. We know that service year alums tend to be more civically engaged, and that there is value in serving alongside someone with a different background than your own. But we must be intentional about ensuring that developing cultural competence and strengthening civic attitudes in core members are outcomes that national programs strive for. We want to see that it isn't just happening by happenstance, but it's something that we're intentionally trying to pursue. Next, and arguably the most important, our fourth principle, national service must be an opportunity for all. That means we need to value national service appropriately, ensure that barriers to serving are eliminated, and pay and wraparound services are increased so that people of all backgrounds see national service as an accessible option. So until everyone, regardless of education level, socioeconomic background, or the community that they come from, can see themselves in service and feel empowered to pursue it, this will not be an opportunity for all, and this principle will not be met. Finally, our fifth and final principle, national service must build pathways to long-term success for individuals who serve, both through benefits and connectivity to future education and careers. We have made large strides in addressing community needs and demonstrating community impact as a sector, yet arguably there is probably impact left on the table when you consider the core member outcomes. At the same time, we know that individuals who complete service years are more likely to obtain four-year degrees than their peers who haven't. So imagine the impact if we brought even more intentionality to the pathways service years can create. So I've just run through our 5 principles, and I'm curious what principles you are most interested in pursuing in your community. So it's time for another poll. There's a poll open now for you to weigh in. Go ahead, take a look, share your thoughts, and we'll check back on that in a moment. Our service year impact communities work to be exemplars of all 5 principles. And typically, each of the communities end up focusing on a specific principle or 2 to advance locally. So we're not saying overnight all 5 must be true. This is, once again, you need to start somewhere. As we look to expand our impact community network to more places, and consider communities for our National Service Community Challenge grants, these principles are top of mind. We encourage community leaders to keep them in the forefront of their priorities as they expand and grow national service. So starting with the work in Flint, Michigan, which we've heard so much about, to the impact communities in California, South Carolina, and New York City, we see pursuit of these 5 principles in action. Later today, in our breakout sessions, we'll hear from several communities about how they are already working to advance these principles. Now, as we kick off today's convening sessions, I want to start by introducing Ann Mora Connolly, the president of Voices for National Service. In a moment, Ann Mora is going to share the results of a study Voices for National Service commissioned last year that studied the return on investment for AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors nationwide, as well as a deep dive on the ROI for AmeriCorps programs in Flint specifically. You'll see the results are astounding. But first, I want to introduce Ann Mora. Voices for National Service is a coalition of AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors programs, state service commissions, and national service champions committed to strengthening and expanding opportunities for Americans of all ages to serve and volunteer. Founded in 2003, Voices works to educate leaders in Washington and around the country about the value and impact of national service, and works with colleagues across the field to build a strong case for the public investment in national service. Ann Mora herself is an alumna of the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, and for more than 3 decades, she has been a leading voice for the idea that a year of service should be a common expectation and experience for every American. And she has built a career around expanding national service as a strategy for solving critical issues and developing the next generation of leaders, both in the US and abroad. We are excited to welcome Ann Mora here today to share some of the work Voices for National Service has done to better understand the value of national service. But welcome, Ann Mora.
Thanks, Kristen. It's great to be here with you and to be part of this remarkable gathering that you and the Service Year Alliance team have pulled together. It really is a joy. I'm going to share a little bit more, as Kristen said, about the return on investment study that we did. But before I begin, I'd like to thank the Mott Foundation and Carrie Pardo for their partnership and ongoing support of our work. Also for their extraordinary investments in national service across the country, but especially in Flint. I know it's made a tremendous difference. And I know all of us here today are grateful for everything that Mott has done to support national service, particularly AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors. So turning to my somewhat wonky presentation, as you all no doubt know, it's critical, we believe, that we as a national service community invest in research that helps us make the case both for public and private investment that we all need to operate our programs. Because we know that AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors offer a triple bottom line return on investment, we wanted to confirm that with actual research that would back us up. And would help tell the story of why this is such a good deal for the country. And that's why we asked ICF to help us understand in monetary terms the ROI of AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors. Now, I know you've heard a lot already about how the Flint Accelerator works. So I'd like to share a little bit more about what ICF found when they studied the return on investment for the remarkable national service community in Flint. ICF researched and quantified the economic and fiscal benefits that these national service programs have on their members, on society, and on the government. And then they examined and monetized the benefits to quantify the impact of AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors by focusing on the benefit to society, the benefit to the AmeriCorps members and the AmeriCorps senior members, and the benefit to the federal government. The overall study was done nationally, but we also asked ICF to do a deeper dive on Flint because it's such an incredible model for how prioritizing and fostering a robust culture of national service can have an impact on a community and its residents. Now, as you all know, the Flint National Accelerator was established as a way to leverage national service to realize Flint's master plan with investment from foundations and community leaders, including Mott, the Community Foundation of Greater Flint, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Flint, and many others. By focusing on and increasing the number of AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior programs and members, as well as adding additional federal and local investment, Flint has made significant progress toward its improvement and revitalization goals. Now, for this case study, 3 different metrics were calculated to evaluate the monetary impact of national service programming, especially in Flint. These were the same metrics that were looked at nationally as well. The three metrics were the overall benefit cost ratio, a federal return on investment, and a federal benefit cost ratio. The federal benefit cost ratio includes the same benefits as the overall benefit cost ratio, but only includes federal CNCS or AmeriCorps funding as the cost in its calculation. The purpose of including this measure is that it represents the overall benefit that's realized from only the federal funding in AmeriCorps. Now, for one full year of AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps Seniors programs operating in Flint, the total of all monetized society member and government benefits was about $80 million. This amount includes higher education attainment, better employment outcomes, and cost savings due to crime reduction, improved health, and decreases in government spending on social assistance, among other things. Costs for this metric included all the AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior funding awarded to Flint and associated match funds used to finance one program year in Flint, roughly $3 million. The overall benefit cost ratio for Flint is 27.4. This means that for every $1 of combined federal and match funding invested in AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors operating in Flint, the return to society, program members, and the federal government is $27.40. That's a pretty amazing return on investment. The combined benefit is 27 times more than the initial investment. The federal return on investment focuses on quantifying the direct return from the federal government receives because taxpayer dollars were invested in AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors programs in Flint. Benefits for this metric only include federal government cost savings and additional revenue collected. Savings and revenue to local or state governments are excluded. These federal specific benefits totaled almost $19 million for one program year. The costs in this calculation only included federal CNCS AmeriCorps funding received by Flint-based programs, which amounts to $2.2 million for the most recent program year that was studied. So the federal ROI for Flint is 8.4. This means for every $1 of taxpayer contributions invested in Flint's AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior programs, the federal government alone receives $8.40, 8 times more than the initial amount spent. Also a remarkable figure. Now, the federal benefit cost ratio leverages inputs from both the overall benefit cost ratio and the federal ROI to measure the impact of national service programs in Flint. This metric measures the total return compared to the federal government's investment. So this metric includes all society, member, and government benefits, which totaled about $80 million, and the AmeriCorps cost of $2.2 million. The federal benefit cost ratio is 35.9. That means for every $1 in federal taxes allocated to Flint's AmeriCorps or AmeriCorps seniors programs, society, program members, and government receives a return of $35.90. That is an astounding number. The report also looked at the societal benefits and the associated government benefits by the AmeriCorps focus area and by program. Government benefits include both cost savings and additional revenue earned. These exhibits also show the benefits associated outcomes, which are in parentheses. The report also looked at the societal benefits and the associated government benefits by AmeriCorps program. Again, these government benefits included both cost savings and additional revenue earned and show the benefits associated outcomes. Finally, just as a point of comparison, here is the national federal benefit cost ratio. For every $1 in federal taxes spent on supporting AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior programs nationwide, the return to society, program members, and the government is $17.30. As noted above, the total benefits to society, program members, and government for the most recent program year studied is just over $17.5 billion, while the cost to the federal government is just over $1 billion. So that means that the resulting benefit cost ratio is 17.3. Now, I know that's a lot to throw at you, but here's the headline. It's that AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors are uniquely sound investments for both public and private dollars. You don't see that kind of return on investment in most federal programs. And if you'd like to learn more about our work and join us, please visit our website, voicesforservice.org. Now, I'd love to turn the floor over to the most extraordinary champion for AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors in the entire United States Congress. Senator Chris Coons knows this community incredibly well. In fact, he ran one of the very first national direct AmeriCorps programs and later served on the Delaware State Commission. If you're watching the news these days, you see him everywhere, working with his colleagues on both sides of the aisle to solve problems, seek common ground, and deliver results for the citizens of Delaware. But what you should also know is that he is relentlessly pushing for support for AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors. There never would have been the $1 billion in the American Rescue Plan for AmeriCorps if Senator Coons had not rallied the support of his colleagues and refused to take no for an answer. And now we're working together on a climate corps and to increase the benefits for those who serve in AmeriCorps. He is a super champion of all of our work and a great friend. And with that, I'll turn it over to Senator Coons.
Thanks, Ann Mora. It's so great to work with you and Voices for National Service, and I appreciate your introduction. I'm proud to celebrate the achievements of the Flint Impact community and the great work of Service Year Alliance in advancing the spirit of national service through AmeriCorps. For 28 years, AmeriCorps has brought Americans together to serve and to meet the needs of local communities, just like in Flint. And the return on investment for national service has been immense. There's $17 in community return for each federal dollar spent. And Flint's model shows an even higher return on investment, 27 to 1. Those numbers make a great case for service, but national service also shapes the lives of everyone involved. It has an impact on people's lives and their commitment to the community and to each other. As someone who launched and ran one of the first AmeriCorps programs decades ago at the I Have a Dream Foundation, I've seen that myself. And with $1 billion added to AmeriCorps through President Biden's American Rescue Plan, we can look forward to even greater investments in service ahead. One of the things I'm most excited about for this coming year is moving into law President Biden's plan for a civilian climate corps. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. Now I'll turn it over to Kristen Bennett with Service Year Alliance.
Senator, your leadership and support for national service is the #1 reason that AmeriCorps saw the largest investment in national service in decades with $1 billion in the American Rescue Plan. So I need to echo Ann Mora in saying thank you. You've built a level of bipartisan support for national service that is unheard of for this issue and most others. As we talk to people on and off the Hill about national service, and nearly every conversation praises your efforts. And your colleagues, leaders of national service programs, state service commissions, and elected officials across the country respect you and share in our extreme gratitude for your commitment to national service. So thank you for everything you've done to advance national service and for your continued efforts to make it a priority on the Hill and in the Biden administration. So now let's take a moment to jump back to the poll that you all did earlier on the principles of universal national service. So I'm going to pull it up here. It looks like there's a resounding majority going to the principle connected to opportunity for all. I think this is something that it's a theme we've been hearing a lot in our conversations across our work, from our work with the impact communities to the work we've been doing with service programs and state service commissions in our learning cohorts. And I think we're starting to see equity and accessibility be central to where our sector's going. And it's definitely one of the driving forces of the principles. I think second to that, we're seeing an interest you all have in working in your communities on creating more pathways. So pathways to education and career, as well as continuing to look at the ways in which service can be used to address more unmet needs with scale and civic renewal following closely in third. So, what I would say is the challenge with the principles is that they're interconnected. It's why there's 5. It's why there aren't only 2. And again, as we've been talking so much, not only when we look at how Flint took on the work in their community yesterday, but as we examine these principles, so much of it comes down to it's picking a place to start and chipping away if we're going to see this become a reality in our communities. So this time I want to now turn to a core member perspective of why this work is about impact at multiple levels. So thank you for your service, Sierra.
Hi, my name is Sierra, and I serve at the Flint and Genesee Literacy Network with the Michigan Nonprofit Association. I think I've had a lot of opportunity to grow as a person because the Flint and Genesee Literacy Network is really big on professional development and self-care. So as we've done that every single Monday, I've had the room to grow and really learn more about myself and learn how to take care of myself so that I can take care of the people around me. I have definitely become more organized. I was able to take a grant writing course, so now I can write grants, and I was able to actually help with one. And also just like the ability to connect with people and form better partnerships. I have a little bit of social anxiety, so I've never been really good with networking, but the network has really helped me develop that skill, especially throughout COVID. I think doing service has changed my life because it's really helped me realize what I want to do for the rest of my life. I've always said that I didn't want to live in Michigan or stay in Michigan, but now I kind of want to stay here and really help my community because I think anything I've learned over the past year is that we're all in this together, and if we want change and progress and we want to reach our goals, we all have to work together to accomplish that. If you want to do service, just do it. Just go for it. AmeriCorps is an amazing program. There's so many benefits, not just for yourself, but for your community as well. If you're really interested in serving, there's so many different organizations, so many different programs. You'll find something that fits you, something that you want to do, and something where you'll grow and learn. And it's just an amazing program. So if you want to serve, just take the first step and do it.